two boxers from Sanman Promotions will figure in the biggest fight of their respective boxing careers on December 11. At the Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai, Jason Mama will challenge Sonny Edwards for the IBF Flyweight Championship a few hours later, technically December 12, in the Philippines. Raymark Gaballo will face Nonito Donaire in a WBC Bantamweight title unification. It will be held at the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. Ryan, both Gaballo and Mama are facing high-profile names for the first time in their careers, plus world titles are at stake. As someone who has religiously followed the activities of Sanman Promotions, is it safe to say that December 11 could be the biggest night in the history of Sanman Promotions if both boxers will be able to pull it off?
I think it, without a question, it will be, because even if you have just one of them pull it off, because those would be big victories. Sandman, has had a lot of success, both domestically, where I think, they've become like the most consistent domestic promoter, but also internationally, they pulled off some upsets, but they've never won a real world championship, right? They had, I believe
Randy.
one of those. Randy Patalka, he had, I think, an interim belt, or one of those lesser WBA belts, and Gaballo has an interim belt as well. So I think that would be huge for Manan Kale, who's told me that like his dream really is to have a world champion. It's not just about the money for him. He really wants that, and he has two chances. Basically, it's like he bought two lottery tickets. And the thing is that like there are only two people in each of those tickets who are eligible to win. So he has a good chance of winning his first world championship there. But he's really up against it because first off, you have Raymark Gaballo, who's fighting Nonito Donaire, who is a legend of the sport. And that's going to be a very tough fight. I think you'd have to favor Donaire there. And then Jason Mama is going to be over in fighting against Sonny Edwards, who is a top amateur, very skilled, very, he's going to be the favorite there too. But I think that if there's going to be an upset in any of those two fights, I think you got to say Mama has the better chance there just because Sonny Edwards isn't a big puncher. But Raymark Gaballo brings a lot of power, and, you never know when Donaire is going to get old.
Ryan, Ala Boxing was regarded as the premier boxing stable in the Philippines for the better part of the last decade. Do you think a double victory for Sanman Promotions on December 11 puts them into that position, especially that Ala Boxing is no longer around?
I hope not, actually, because one of the things that happened with Ala Boxing is that they got a big TV deal, and then for them, boxing became more of a TV show than something where you make, world champions. I hope that Sandman doesn't lose track of that. But I think it's long overdue for Sandman to get a big TV deal to show their fighters to the audience domestically. Right now, unfortunately, the way that boxing works in the Philippines is someone has to become big, and then people find out who they are, right? You have to do something big, and then maybe a couple defenses, and then you get known. Manan Kill has a stable of upcoming fighters that are very talented. These were top amateurs who left the national team, and now they're making their names, but they aren't being known yet in the Philippines. So I hope that what they do, it doesn't get watered down the way it did with Ala.
Ryan, do you see a silver lining on the part of Sanman Promotions in case they go 0-2 or 1-1 on December 11?
Yeah, sure. I think that, JC Manankil, I know he used to be very active, going to all the different fights, pre-pandemic. He's either going to Dubai or LA. So I guess that's always great. Since they're going to be in two different locations, I don't think you can fly back and forth so quickly. I think you're going to have to get Dexter Wang Yu Tan to go out to one of those shows as well. And I think it just shows that they're making moves on the international stage right now. They aren't just promoting shows at the Oval and Jensen anymore. They're international players, and I think that their affiliation also with Sean Gibbons, who's helped them make deals internationally as well. I think that really shows that they're becoming a bigger promotion. Things are happening for them. They planted seeds years ago with Gaballo. I remember when Gaballo was a teenager, an amateur, at the old Sanman gym, and that was actually JR, the older brother of JC. John Ray was telling me, "Oh yeah, Gaballo is going to be something." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we'll see one of these days, right?" And he turned out to be a pretty good fighter and a good puncher, and he may become a world champion on December 11th.
Ryan, if I'm going to look at the roster of Sanman Promotions, it's a mix of established veterans, hungry former world champions like Marlon Tapales, and up-and-coming talents such as Mike Plania. They also acquired the young guns of Ala Boxing last year. After the fights on December 11, who do you see from their camp moving up to the world title picture?
Yeah, no, I think that that Sanman has some exciting young prospects to look at. I think first and foremost, I would go with KJ Cataraja, just in terms of being ready to go to that next level. Cataraja was one of those Ala fighters who was picked up in the when Ala had closed down, and I think that those are really good signings. Cataraja has 13-0, 11 knockouts. He's a puncher. He's mature as a fighter. I think that he's ready to step up and have a little bit of a tougher fight. I think you also have to look at Dave Apolinario as another fighter that would be ready to go to that next level. He's a flyweight. He's 15-0 with 10 knockouts. He's only 22 years old, but he was a top amateur on the Philippine scene. Very exciting guy. He was a Philippine National Games youth champion, won Palarong Pambansa. He's southpaw, makes very good use of his right jab, throws combinations. He's defensively responsible, and he's already rated with the WBA and the IBF. And then Mike Plania, he's another guy that I think Mike Plania is ready to get into a world title eliminator and then fight for a world championship shortly after that. He's got a good fight coming up against Ricardo Nunez, who's an experienced fighter. His nickname is Magic Mike because of his defense, not because he's a great karaoke singer
or a dancer.
Or a male stripper, So he's training in Miami with the Miami boys. He's got Moro Fernandez, who works with Gaballo, works with a number of the other Sandman guys. So he's getting good sparring out there. And I think Plania, if he gets past this fight, put him in a significant fight, get him on the track to a world championship because he really has something there.
Well, by the looks of it, the future is very bright for JC Manangkil and Sanman Promotions.